welcome to Global Village, and thank you for joining us today. Today we have two guests, Mr. Desiree Kiana, from Director of Francophone in Brooks, and our great former mayor, Mr. Norm Bouchot, to the program, and we are very honored to have both of them again. Thank you for coming. Mr. Mayor, if I might say, how is life after politics?
Politics and policing and so on. As a matter of fact, you say mayor, but when I play hockey, a lot of people say chief. So it's, but no, life is great. For one thing, health is good. That's the important aspect. And the reality is, once you review what I've done and where I've been and all the different places, including UN missions and whatever, after 43 years of being involved with the community, it's a great release. So now I can focus more on family and stuff. As a matter of fact, I just went to visit another grandson I've got in Toronto, and also have a granddaughter there, but also a granddaughter in New Brunswick. So it gives you a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
And but you know, I feel really good about what I've done during those 43 years, and that's the important aspect.
No, that's a good service that you did. I'm always, sometimes you get when people retire from politics, and the name chief or mayor or ambassador. Ambassador, I think, is something that stays with the individual, same as the chief. I think mayor, not sure. Sometimes I've seen a couple of former mayors, they've been called mayor, but mostly I've seen ambassadors. That name stays forever, I think, even if you retire. Same as chief. So you have both been a police chief and mayor of this great city. And I think time will tell, and history will record as such. Now that you are in out of politics, you never say no. Never say no. So you never know, you might come back one day.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So that's the point. And the point is, if you have a desire or really an ambition to serve other people, you can do it in many different ways. As a matter of fact, Desiree talked about it earlier about, you know, how people from the association, the French Association, really contribute to the community in Brooks.
Yeah.
These are things that you have in your heart or you don't.
Yeah.
And some people don't find the time to help others, but if you can do it, and if you can make a life of it,
Yeah.
as a public servant, it's a great honor. It's probably the best honor.
There you go. Okay, Mr. Desiree, I think let's just talk about a little bit about the values of Africa. There is some confusion, for example, in Western culture versus African culture, especially when you are talking to someone. You have to look eye to eye. And you were talking that you had experience going to the police department in Brooks. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a true question.
Yeah,
That is
true.
a real. Yeah.
It's true because we have different cultures. Yes, we understand, and people are different, it's not good to judge people because and try to stigmatize someone because he doesn't look at your eyes when you are talking to him. Because we have different cultures, we have different way we have been educated by our parents. So I have someone I have to translate for him, and when he was talking to his wife, as he could not look to his wife's eyes, when he went, someone said, you know, this guy must be a bad guy because he was not telling the truth. And I understand that he was not telling the truth to his wife because he could not even be able to look at his wife's eyes. So I told the person, I said, you know, there is a way people have been educated. So don't judge someone because, and they went far. They was to say that he looked like a criminal, because he's not able to look to his wife's eyes. I said, that's not good. It's not even better to have that kind of ideas when we are building good communities. We have to understand why that happened.
Yeah, you see, Chief Norm, I think it's just coming back again to education is in African culture, the kid is brought up by family, and the values or respect the family is if the father is looking at the kid, whether it's he or she, they look down. That's part of respect. Here is vice versa. If you're not looking at the person eye to eye, or you look down, it is indication of you lying, or you're not telling the truth, political correctness. And that's not only Desiree mentioned this morning as we were coming from Brooks. I think a lot of immigrant population mentioned also the same thing. It's some sort of misunderstanding, because if you brought up a system where you can't look eye to eye your dad, that system is within you. Maybe the kids who were born here or grew up here, probably they might change that culture because they grew up in the society. But those who came old enough, they still have that culture. It's difficult for that person to change.
There's so much to learn about this. I guess the statement is it takes two to dance.
Yeah.
And both have to know what the other one is
Yeah.
what step are they on.
Yeah.
But so the police, for one, I'll repeat, because dealing with the police is actually very different than just dealing two citizens together of different nationality or history. The police has, first of all, they should be a direct reflection of what your community is. So in the police service, there should be some women, there should be some people, if you have visible minority, some people probably with other languages and things like this. That is the norm. This is how it started many years ago when civilian police started to be formed as opposed to military police. So that should happen. The second thing is, there's a lot of police officers who have never been and are not really well educated about other countries. Not only is it about father, son, or somebody, kids versus the parents in the family in other countries. There is a relationship that's a bit different, and the physical expression is very different. But there's also a lot of countries, and I would say most countries in the world, the police is corrupt.
Yeah.
So when you deal with the police,
Yeah.
you're on your heels all the time thinking, what do I tell them? Is it limited? What will they do with this information?
Yeah.
So the police here should know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was a big inquiry with Zegansky out of the airport in Vancouver where he was tasered.
Yeah.
And I think this probably is a lack of information
Yeah.
from, and maybe approach by the police who probably were not used to it. They should have been, because at international airport, you have people coming from everywhere. But having worked in the UN, I know this is very, very familiar. And a lot of police officers from other countries told me, we know we are corrupt for whatever reason. They don't pay us enough, the leaders, the politicians are corrupt, and so on and so on. That makes it very complicated when you deal with the police. As far as one-on-one citizens, you always have to be very open-minded. It's challenging for new residents to Canada because our culture is very mixed for one, but it still has a lot of British traditions and stuff, and we can be very cold with each other.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the police have to do more, and citizens too have to do a little bit more to accept.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, almost all of us in Canada are generation 1, 2, many generations removed from being immigrants to Canada. So we have learned through the time, and we still have a lot to do when it comes to learning.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Chief. And I think, never to say, I believe, and Desiree have dealt with the police department in Brooks, County of New York. They do a very great job. But in general, I think there is still something missing when it comes to the difference between the police overseas. As you said, they're very corrupted because of dictatorship or whatever. So immigrants coming from those countries have a challenge to overcome, because seeing a police there is seeing a problem. Either they will arrest you regardless of whatever the reason is, either you have to pay some money to be out of it, or there is abuse. So that is the mindset of many nations in third world countries. I would probably not say only in Africa, but all third world countries have that in equalization of problems. When you come here, we have obligation to have especially the police who are dealing with the people, have that sensitivity cultural issue to be aware of the difference. I brought up a system where I would not dare to look my dad's eye, whatever that is. But during the time I've been in this country, I know not looking your eye indicates that you're not telling the truth. So it's obligation from you to look your eye, otherwise the person might think that you're lying. But it comes to a point that we have to educate our people, so at least then they will be able to understand both sides of the issue. And I'm sure if you inform them, I think they will be able to understand that from your side more effective, and maybe they will learn as they go. And I'm sure they have some minority within the department now.
Yeah, but the question which always come up when we see those kind of things happen, I always ask the question: did the police have any training how to deal with people from different cultures? I don't know if they have that training.
Here you go.
Well, actually, I was an instructor for the RCMP for quite a few years. I spent 9 years at the training academy. I can tell you there is some, but the problem is there's not enough. And but you talked about eye contact. I think is very important in our culture here in North America. But body language. So if the police is talking to somebody and they're fidgety, they're always turning and they're presenting their side, not their face, in body language. So body language is very important. It is in many things. It is an interview when you hire somebody. It's the same story. The other thing I just want to, if I can inform people who actually come from other countries, a lot of the times what they will do is they will gang up. Not that they're ganging up, but what do they do when they come to a new country? They will associate with people from their own country. Very normal. But for the police, you see 5, 6, 10 people together, you say, this is a gang. What are they concocting as far as, illegal thing? Vice versa, from your side. If you have a group that come from another country or in Canada, they're a little bit leery maybe about the police. And they see the police is looking at them, but they're afraid to make the first step to say, can we help you? Is there something we can do? That is what exists in Canada. So there's a two-side issues to this. It's not just the police and it's not just the new citizens in Canada. It's an adjustment and a learning on both sides that has to happen.
And that's funny you said, because I had a friend of mine, they immigrated from Sweden, his family. He came while he was a kid. And he told me one day he was driving on the highway with his dad. And a police officer stopped them because of sometimes they do random check. And he said, the police stopped him. They pulled him on the side. And the dad came out of the car. And because that's what you do back home in Africa. You come out of the car, and then the police officer sits in their car. You walk back and give your license. Here is vice versa. You can't get out of your car. They will come to you. Coming out of your car indicates a problem to them. And they ask him to sit in the car. And so the dad was a little bit uneasy, but finally he sat in the car.
But Ahmed, if I can, this is for safety reason. So another aspect about if you're being stopped by the police, don't be fidgety in the car. Because the police will think, are you looking for a gun?
Yeah.
Will you be surprising me when I show up at your door? Things like this. So understand these are approaches that have been developed in the police over the years.
The result of experience.
And that is the point, was because they came from Sweden and they were new at the time, and the dad still had that mindset of Africa, where when the police stop you, you get out of the car. He was never been told that if this happened, stay in the car, because this is the system they have here. But luckily, that police officer was somebody knowledgeable of the new Canadians. He did not react on it. He was calm and explained to him that to be in the car and everything. So the kid talks. The kid talks about this issue. When he told me, I was very surprised. He said, this is what happened to me. He's a respectful grown up now, but he still remembers that day what happened, him and his dad driving on the highway in Canada. So that little thing creates misunderstanding, where the police react to something that they see a safety issue, where this new Canadian person is something that they had in their mindset coming from back home. So it's a very challenge for both sides of the issue.
Right here, it's a very good idea. Like in Brooks, we have this diversity service at the city of Brooks. This branch, so we always like the diversity branch. Always like we celebrate cultures, different cultures we have. But maybe that service at the city should also think about the understanding of people coming in our community. So they should maybe organize, we should have people talk about their culture so that in the community we can understand each other. The police also maybe should go to people and try to understand the different body languages. The mayor said the different body language when you come from Ethiopia, what are the body language when you face this kind or that kind of situation?
Can I just add a few things on this? Because this is actually very important when it comes to this. First of all, there is no perfect way to solve all of these issues. There is a lot of learning that has to take place on all sides. But one of the things that I think that new Canadians should understand is the police try not to meddle into your business. They usually don't stop. Usually, I'm saying that, and I'll explain. They don't stop you if you're driving a vehicle unless they see something wrong. In other words, they need a reason. In the country you came from, the police can stop you, and probably did stop you for no reason. The only time they do that here is when they do a road check, for example. They'll check all vehicles, and they could be for all kinds of things, drugs, alcohol, drunk driving, safety issues, whatever. That is a common thing. But really, usually they don't stop your vehicle. So if they're stopping you, it's probably for a good reason, and they will tell you the reason. It could be your tire's low, your lights are not working, your muffler's too loud, or your car's not safe, or you're driving erratic. There will be a reason they will tell you. So please understand this. They're doing their job, but so they're not challenging. The other aspect that's very important is the culture you bring into Canada, some of it is not acceptable here. And I didn't mention that to quite a few people from Sudan when they celebrated the South Sudan separation, and it was great. In the sense that, and they're not the only country that's like this. In their country, the man owns the wife. He owns the kids, their kids, and so on. In Canada, it doesn't work like this. Every person has their own personal rights.
Exactly.
So you can't beat them. You can't force things onto them. You could do it with diplomacy. That's the thing. So if you want a certain way, and that's very hard for some people coming with a different culture into Canada, and that's the law here. So that's where human rights are very strong in Canada when it comes to things like this. So if you go to the police, for example, and the example you had is this person with his wife, maybe doesn't look at his wife, or maybe talks down to about his wife in front of the police. All of a sudden, the police officer will say, well, this could be violence. Maybe this is a domestic dispute situation, whatever it is. I'm just telling you, this is where the culture clashes a little bit. So the one side, please understand our laws are very, very oriented towards everybody has rights. And then the rule of the law is very important, so that people, you must follow the rules that are set through these laws.
Do you get that point?
Yeah, that's he's right for sure. Yeah, but the problem also always been the prejudices. Sometimes there is generalization. People have already ideas, and when speaking about this group of people, when you try to have already ideas, think, oh, these people are like this, that's a mistake. Yeah, you must understand that people are different. Even if you are coming from the same region, the same country, but we're still different. We're still different. But when someone working as a police, try to generalize and try to think that all Africans think like this or they act like this, that's a big mistake also.
I'd just like to put a comment to this one here. I think you're probably right. Stereotyping exists everywhere. I'm sure it existed in the countries where you came from, as it does here. The issue is you should evaluate the person for his own value and stuff like that. One of the common approach that people have had in Canada, it's not just the police, it's other, it's whoever immigrates from, and we've taken a lot of people from war-torn countries. So some of them were affected, and really their reactions now, they're affected by the war, and some of these wars have lasted years and years, and lost family members, maybe whatever it is, spouses and so on. It becomes very difficult. So they come here with a bit of a baggage when it comes to, and it's hard to deal with them because they don't open up very easily. They don't trust anybody because of what they lived through. That makes it difficult. So a lot of learning, like I said before, we have to learn about and assess the people for who they are. And it's not about color or the language or religion stuff. It's more about how can we relate and get information. I was always very lucky to get information and have a good relationship with people sometimes that were very cold. But you have to understand where they come from, and everybody will come. And then we in Canada also have, and that's us.
Exactly.
A lot of people that have some issues. We have our own issues and our own barriers in how we see things. Yeah. So please understand there's two sides to that. And like I said before, I've said it many times, the first generation coming into Canada is actually a bit of a shock. Not just the weather, but the religions and how things are done in Canada. But they're done with the intention of having a very a lot of respect for human rights. So there's a lot of adjustment for the second generation and after that. Usually the language is already set up by the kids going to school and they understand a little bit better. And sometimes the clash exists between the first generation that's arriving and the second because they have arguments at home.
That will be the major one, Mr. Chief. But going back to what Desiree said, and you are as a police chief, the issue of, and I was told, if I'm not mistaken, if the woman calls police officer or calls the police station, and the police come for some sort of what they perceive as a domestic violence, the first thing is done usually is to ask the man to leave the house, if I'm not mistaken.
No. I'll stop you there. They want to separate them.
Oh, they want to separate,
It may be one room to the other room, and if there's two police officers, they may both talk their side. What's your side and what's your side? Okay. It's not just the man. No, that's not. But usually it's the woman that calls. That's why. Yeah. And I just want you to understand this part. Like I said, the police don't usually they don't investigate unless there's something there. So if somebody phones, they will not do their job if they don't pursue that call to make sure that you're safe. Can you negotiate? Can you live with the person that you're saying is either aggressing you, abusing you, whatever it may be, or stealing from you? That's the thing where we have to move to is make sure that the victim, is usually the victim that calls, or somebody related to the victim, is satisfied with what the police can do. They can't do everything. Okay. But
because this following one of the new Canadians one day asking me why would they not be able, if the police intervene, is domestic violence. They say they try to intervene by trying to make things in their own community oriented to get this solved. My answer was, when is the woman calls police, then the law will take its own course. It's not back home where you call a couple community elders and then sit for a coffee or tea and then expect things to be done through there. Once they receive a call, they go through the process, police will just add everything and then forward to a court. They're not going to do anything other than the court will decide, taking the law into the consideration, if I'm not mistaken.
But you're right to a certain point, and this is where I think the police really have to take it to the next level. So in Brooks and in Medicine Hat, I know that exists because I know a few of them that are elders from where they came from. They're actually very well respected within their groups. And it's very important that the police use them. They have a way. And you know what? If they can solve some issues, not murder, some issues, that's probably the best way, because that person will be able to relate to the people who the police is trying to investigate and how to solve it. Now, the police cannot just close their eyes on this. Exactly. Remember, they have to follow through. If there's a complaint, You can't just say, close the file, somebody else is looking after it. It's not that easy, because they will get complained later on that they're not doing what they're supposed to do about the rule of law.
Well, that's a very good point that I believe that makes a very sense. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chief, our Mayor Ted was here last time, and I think one of the things that he mentioned was, as a medicine hat, they're having some challenge of attracting new Canadians, immigrants like to the city of Medicine Hat, even though they offer a lot of opportunities. That's one of the major ones that he did mention. And, to be fair, I just mentioned at the time that there is anything that as a global village we can help, but it will take time. What are your thoughts on attracting not only investors but also manpower in terms of immigrant population?
Very important. I think this is how we're going to build Canada even better. You need help, and you need, there's certain jobs that really Canadians don't want to do anyway. Yeah. But I can tell you that at City Hall, when I was there for 6 years, we've hired some people from China, we've hired some people from India, from Pakistan, from other, from other countries. Yeah. They came with the qualification we required, and they had to compete. Yeah. It's like racing. I want to be part of that race. Well, if you don't have a car that you can race with, you're not going to be competing. So this is how it is. So, and especially when there was a downturn in the economy, you're talking 2008, 2009, when we had one position advertised, we'd have 300, 400 people applying for that position. So it makes it difficult. How do you weed through to make sure that person is the ideal person you hire for a career, not just to give them a chance, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how important it is. So that's also important for the French Association and people coming from other countries. Understand you have to be very competitive when you present yourself. We want you, otherwise we wouldn't advertise for a position, one. Secondly, in this community, there is Samis immigration, and they come and they help anybody that needs help. Everything from learning English to doing your income tax, or where do you get a driver's license, and even finding places to live, how to accommodate families, giving courses on the culture that is expected in Canada. So there are systems that are really in place, and we hope there is people. If there's positions available, please apply and please compete.
And that's what Mayor Ted also mentioned, is it's open and everyone is welcome. And we hope to see Medicine Hat as a beautiful city as it is, to grow and then have all inclusive as you did and as the new mayor is planning to do. And we hope the city will grow further and see in the many years to come, 21st century economical is competing. So immigrant is part of that economic growth. I thank you very much for both of you, and I just want to reiterate again those who risk their lives to protect others, as you did as a police chief and RCMP commissioner, and as Tom McNulty and others in Brooks doing, and police chief Andy. I think they are the real heroes, and I think the community owes you for that. Thank you very much, Desiree, for...
Thank you very much, Ahmed.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Mr. Chief.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you very much. This is the end of Global Village, and we appreciate both Mr. Desiree and Chief Norm, and we hope you will enjoy your retirement for now. This is end of Global Village. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you will join us next time. Until then, God bless you all.